This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
So We All Be is honored to have on once again Brother Mukasa Dada, Mr. Black Power, the right-hand man of Stokely Carmichael, a.k.a. Kwame Ture, a true living legend, a true freedom fighter extraordinaire with no comparison. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Brother Africa.
That's good. It's good to have you on, because right now there's a lot of things. The world is a-changing, and there's a lot of things taking place. And I definitely want to talk to you more about what's going on with the Ferguson situation. What is your take on that? And also, what do you think about the young activists of today?
Well, that's a good question, big question. Well, what's going on in Ferguson? What's going on in every African community in the world? We've been exploited. We've been enslaved. We don't have the basics. We're oppressed. And the people around the world is rising up. And the oppressor is doing everything in their power to oppress us. And that Ferguson is just one group that's rising up, just like we rose up in Haiti in 1804 and won independence. And now that's just another aspect of Haiti. The Africans are rising up. And we're going to rise up on every slave plantation in every city and country until Africa is united. We need a United States of Africa, where we have our own country, our own land, and our own power base, and we can determine which direction we go in, and we can solve the social, economic problems of our people. But Ferguson is nothing but just a crumb of what's happening to our people worldwide. Africa is being exploited, raped, and African people are being oppressed along with the rest of the working class people of the world. Imperialism is hitting us hard.
What would you say to some of the young activists on the ground in Ferguson?
Well, you got to get conscious. You got to start listening to men like Malcolm X and other groups and people that will bring on that conscience. Look at around the world, look at the way of principles and the way you're supposed to think and act. Look at the Chinese, look at North Korea, but look at freedom fighters from all over the world. And they'll see, if you look at their behavior, their thinking, then you'll see what your behavior and your thinking have to be. Because now you're going to rise, you're going to understand the military-industrial complex, you're going to understand imperialism and the capitalistic system that exploits you and rape you and rob you. But by you demonstrating and protest, the demonstrations, each one help bring conscience, not just to you, but to the community. So every day that you march and keep your nonviolent drums marching, you're setting the tone for something much bigger, for yourself and for your people, in terms of knowledge, history, culture, and in terms of revolution.
Now, does this revolution includes voting? I know we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, and folks are really pushing voting. Is that still?
Well, I think voting is a waste of time, a piece of garbage. How your slave master gonna give you a list of folks and tell you what to vote for and who to vote for and whatever. But your freedom, your liberation, the unification of Africa is not on the ballot. The closing of the jails and prisons are not on the ballot. To stop killing and murdering young black men in the streets is not on the ballot. The ending of the prison industrial complex is not on the ballot. To stop drugging our people is not on the ballot. Stop the social economic exploitation of our people, where the rich get rich and the poor get poor, a have and a have not, a slave and a slave master. That's not on the ballot. So I don't understand what the voting is for. When you get through voting, you won't have an acre of land more, you won't have no more power, you won't have no more land, you won't have nothing until Africa is free and united, you'll forever be a slave. So if we're going to vote, we should vote for Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe. We shouldn't vote for nobody that's dangling around with imperialism and capitalism and the American capitalistic system. How you going to vote for them? And they giving orders to drop bombs on us all over the world. So how you going to end up telling me I'm voting for these people? And these are the people that's dropping bombs on you and exploiting Africa. Mugabe is trying to bring an end to that. Fidel Castro is trying to bring an end to that and trying to feed, clothe, and educate their people and the people of the world and give the people the truth. Where American presidents and the American government is doing nothing but teaching lies and disrespect to the people all over the world. So no, I'm not interested in no voting. I vote for Fidel Castro.
Well, what about people say that people like of your generation, y'all fought for, like, you a freedom fighter from the 60s, SNCC organizer. I mean, were y'all not fighting for Voting Rights Act, access to the ballot back then?
Well, we used voters' rights to fight against all the other forms of oppression and exploited. We exposed, through saying we were working for voter registration, we exposed sharecropping, we exposed lynching, jailing, murdering, and all kind of other racial slavery, exploitative behaviors of the system, segregation, all what we were going through wasn't being working and wasn't being paid nothing, just to expose slavery, that we're just using that to expose something much bigger. And voting was never no real issue because we ran people for voting and we know they didn't have no power, they didn't have no authority, and we do that and we would go to the next and use the next and just use that to fight with. But now the voting system is the Democratic Republican Party. Both of them want white power. Both of them want work for Zionism. Both of them work for capitalism, the exploitation of our people. Both of them want the diamonds and gold and the resources of Africa. Both of them setting up colonial and neo-colonial and military forces all over Africa, Democrat and Republican. So why should I be a part of some people that does nothing but exploit our people? And then those of us who run out there and vote, show me one thing, that one city anywhere in this country that we getting absolutely anything from voting for those exploiters or voting for those politicians. They lie out of both sides of their mouth. You know damn well they ain't gonna do nothing. They can't do nothing, they ain't gonna do nothing, and haven't did nothing.
Well, I guess there's so much for a black face in a high place, man. I mean, because since the Voting Rights Act was passed, I read somewhere that over 10,500 black folks have been elected to office or held office since 1965.
And they ain't got no power.
And speaking of no power, what about this police brutality thing? When we talking about, well, people say when you vote, you're supposed to become empowered. Mm-hmm. Why are we still dealing with police brutality in black and brown communities?
Because they gotta beat the slave to keep them in. They keep them in their boundary, keep them in their place, until you have your own nation, your own army, and your own government. Then these other forces have to beat you and keep fearing you to keep you in your place. That's why the United States government is showing us how they militarize and how they respond to us in the most violent, vicious ways for the very least little thing we say or do. Stop for a traffic ticket, they grabbing their guns and whatever. Or if they march nonviolent, they point their AK-47s in your face and guns in your face. So they just make you recognize that you're a slave and you'll never be free until your land, Africa, is free. And they brainwash us so bad that we turn away from Africa and don't talk about Africa. And those of us, many of these people who talk about Africa, are not doing nothing for Africa. Many of these people talk about organization and say they got organization, but they ain't organizing. And that's very critical. That how can we call ourselves militant organizations and we don't go out and talk to the people in a humble way and not just put ourselves up front and make ourselves look good, but go out and really change the lives of people and try to show them the way to get them to see the truth of our struggle, who we are, where we come from, and where we got to go. And those of us who call ourselves leaders, we got to discuss those things too. We got to discuss the question of ideologies and objectives. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting against? What land are we fighting for? What land are we fighting against? What power are we fighting for? What power are we fighting against? And we began to look at that and look at it very clearly, and then we can begin to line people up and see which side are they on. Because a lot of people that look like us or even fake to talk like us or claim they represent us really don't. They really don't represent us. So we need revolution, we need organizing, we need a deep education of our people.
That's good you said speaking of revolution or organizing. I was thinking about, we just passed October 16th and October 15th this year. October 16th was the 155th anniversary of John Brown raid on Harper's Ferry in West Virginia, which is now known as West Virginia. But also that's the 19th anniversary of the Million Man March, and then you also had the formation of the Black Panther Party, I believe, on October 15th, 1966, if I'm not mistaken. So what is, I guess now...
Well, I don't know about you. Well, the Black Panther Party we started was in Lowndes County.
Okay, talk about the other Black Panther Party.
Well, Lowndes County, we started a Black Panther Party in Lowndes County when we were facing guns and bombs and all forms of racism, death and destruction. We had to pick up guns to defend ourselves and defend our organization and defend the people and defend the movement for trying to ask for freedom, dignity, and equality. And we did that in Lowndes County and spoke out against the apartheid system they had there. Then they used violence against the people, and the people picked up guns, and we became known, the organization, the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, became known as the Black Panther Party.
Who was the opposition? What was their name? The opposition name?
The opposition of who?
To the Lowndes County Black Panthers.
Democrat and Republican.
They call themselves the Roosters too.
No, Democrat is a rooster and the Republican is a jackass, whatever. But that's what that was. But it was African versus the racist organization of the Europeans, and that was the Democratic and Republican Party at that time.
So we went from having the Lowndes County Black Panthers, we actually inspired the Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale Black Panthers, correct? They was inspired by
we bought them in. Yeah, we bought them in.
Right, because they even used y'all Panther logo, correct?
We used everything.
Right, and so I was thinking about now, when you think about us now, we got gun clubs now, like Huey P. Newton Gun Club in Dallas. They, open and carry and all that stuff. Do you think we going backwards instead of going forwards? Like we went from what y'all was doing in the 60s with the organizing and political empowerment to now we just having gun clubs and what's your take?
all that's I don't know the details of gun clubs or whatever, but I'm sure it's beneficial if they use a name like Huey P. Newton and gun club, then I know that gun club got some conscience in sending a message, because the name itself sent a message of conscience. Huey P. Newton have a good name, so no problem. So now we ain't going backwards. The enemies just try to drive us and beat us down and beat us back and all that. And the picture they show us of ourselves, they try to make us look bad, but that ain't us. We're moving forward.
I heard that.
Revolution is moving forward.
The revolution is moving forward. And what about the Ebola? What's your take on the Ebola situation?
I don't know much about it, but I know it was in the car. I know that they say it started in Germany somewhere, and then they took it to the Congo, and then they named it after a river in the Congo called the Ebola River. And then they have done nothing. They watch how people die from it. I know people that have been dying from it. It go up and down. One time it was bad in the Congo. It went up and then it disappeared like that now. So Ebola ain't nothing new and what have you. Now they know it's been there, and now they're using it to try to scare us and whatever. But we're good that we have the great doctors of Cuba and the great government of Cuba sending doctors, hundreds, even hundreds of personnel and doctors to Africa to work on the people and organize around Ebola and phase it out. If anybody can phase out Ebola and do some great work at doing that, it's the Cubans, because they have probably the most advanced socialist or the advanced medical system in the world, and they have a philosophy of serving the people, and that's what they take pride in. So I'm sure if they go and surround Sierra Leone, and they're cured everywhere, they're good.
I know you speaking of the Cuban sending doctors over, or Cuba sending doctors over to help
Africa.
people. You also have a son that went through the medical school, right? Correct?
I have a son in medical school in Cuba right now as we talk. Him and several other young people that we work with in medical school, or even coming out of medical school, has finished medical school in Cuba. And we hope that every conscious organization and movement and people who got children that say they're conscious or have any conscience, you should have your children in Cuba in medical school, and you should have other children in school in medical school. And I put a question mark about any people that I can hear or know that have children or even have an organization and don't have people and not supporting getting people to Cuba to medical school. I question your sincerity.
And it's like debt-free school, right? You're not going.
It's everything. It's free. Ain't no money involved. But it's about making cheap doctors out of these young people, and where they can become conscious and real human beings and make great contributions. Cuba is there for them, and I wonder why many people are not sending their children. All of us, it's what you call yourself, civil rights, black power, African nationalists, Pan-Africans, whatever. Why you don't have young people in medical school? Why you're not using Cuba to educate and put people in medical school there? I wonder why. And so that I don't understand.
It's like what's going on with this country in particular, America, is like the student loan debt crisis, where people are just weighed by student
debt. They exploit us and rape us and rob us on everything we do. Here, Cuba give us free education, free medicine, take young people off the streets and make doctors out of them. We must take advantage of it, period.
So what would be a great place for folks to find out more information about the Cuban medical program?
IFCOnews.org. 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 212-926-5757. IFCO. So you got all the information there, scholarship information, all of it. Everybody should be trying to support and head to Cuba in some kind of way. Grown people should be having meetings there, programs there, vacations there, doing whatever. But you should be seeing Cuba, and you could go there and have a great time without being exploited for every penny that you have.
I think it's strange, like when you talk about people, how they exploit us over here, because Germany, one of the world's largest economies, up there in the top 5, I believe, they now open their doors. Anybody who qualified can go to school for free in Germany, go to college. So I'm trying to figure out why, I thought an educated populace would make the country better. Why not make it easy for folks to go to school?
Well, this is a capitalistic system that does nothing but rip the people off. That's why we got to take Africa back, and then we can put a college or university all over Africa, bunches and bunches of them, and solve our own problem, educate our own people, bring people from all over the world, educate them on the continent of Africa, and give them the best. But it's there to do it. But right now, the people are using Africa, want to make money and rip Africa off and use its resources to make the rich people rich and the poor people poor. Those are the forces that have a lot of control of Africa at this time, but there's a revolution that's rising, and soon all these forces hopefully will be ran off our continent, and Africa will unite.
I know also your son, he's busy raising money still to try to qualify.
Yeah, he's raising money for different tests. You have to come back to the United States and take different tests you have to pay for, and then a lot of stuff you pay for on the computer to take different sample tests, and then it's different qualification tests you have to take, and we were raising money to do that, and he have a GoFundMe.com. I think it's Baku. I don't know what.
Well, I'll post it.
Yeah, I don't know the website offhand.
Yeah, well, so y'all still raising money for that?
Yeah, it's going to be ongoing.
Okay, cool. And also, I want to ask you, because we talked about voting earlier, we talked about, black faces in high places, like the failure of, some people like Barack Obama has failed in helping black folks in this period while he's been president. Do you think it's all his fault, or do you think he has failed helping black people?
Well, I think it's America's fault. Capitalism ain't designed to help nobody. It ain't designed to help the poor. It's designed to exploit the poor. So wherever they put up in the office, whatever they be the mayor, whatever they be a governor, it's still the people going to be exploited. This is not a country that help poor people. This is not a country that solves the problem of racism. They promote racism. So wherever they put a black face, that black face will have to promote the same identical thing. It's still capitalism, it's still imperialism, it's still the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, and they all have their laws and principles and whatever. We need our own army. We need us a revolutionary African party. We don't need to be in the Europeans or nobody else's party. Chinese got their own organization, government, parties, Chinese Communist Party, the Cuban Communist Party. We need a worldwide African Communist Party. But we need it. We're filled with our culture and our history and everything else. But we need something that would teach us to fight for our land and fight for the United States of Africa.
And also, I talked to you. We talked about Dr. King a couple of times, and I know you knew him better than a lot of people knew him. You worked closely with him on different campaigns like the March Against Fear. What are some things we need to know about Dr. King that you know, that we should know?
Oh, he's a good man, good warrior, loved his people, had great courage, willing to change. He was learning as he go, and that he was getting angry at this country, and that his last speeches were very powerful speeches, where he called the United States the greatest terrorist nation in the world, the greatest perpetrator of violence. He was linking up with revolutionaries all over the world and learning from them. And he was saying that the United States was an evil country that was doing very exploitative things and had no intention of doing right and good. That's why the United States, he kept pushing, and that's why the United States pushed to kill him and decided to kill him, and they killed him. But I think Dr. King was a good, humble soldier and an honest man, and I'm honored that I spent some time with him. Not a lot, some.
Do you think he would have turned the corner, and embraced revolution like guerrilla?
Well, I don't know, but the people were turning the corner, and the people was embracing it, and the people was moving, and that if he was going with the people and stay relevant with the people, then he had no choice but to do it. It was the people that was changing, and the people that was growing more militant, and I think he was riding the wind with the people. He was coming.
So actually, this I want to thank you for sharing so much time with us to talk about these things, and because I'm glad, because you got a perspective that's very unique, and it's very grounded, and it's very visionary, revolutionary. You got any words you want to share with us, with our audience?
I just want to say that we need to be organized. We need to love our people, and each person need to start spending at least with 5 people, just sit down and talk about Africa, talk about we Africans, talk about our history, talk about who we are, talk about some of the things that you see we need to do, or even just listen to a tape on Malcolm X together. And I would like for hundreds of people to start doing this, or thousands, and we'll put together 10,000 or 1,000 freedom schools where everybody every day somewhere is talking to somebody about the history and culture and revolution of our people. We just call it a little minute freedom school. Each person have to be involved, and then hopefully we'll come back one day, many of us will come back and talk about what we're talking. Hopefully we'll come up with some 5 good things we need to teach everybody about Africa, or 5 good things we need to teach people about revolution, about socialism. 5 good things, why socialism is the best system and what have you. But we need to just look at some things, and many people of us, we talk, but we don't have real contact with people. And we want people to begin to have more contact with people. So all y'all who claim us to be civil rights, black power, black nationalists, Pan-Africans, then each one of us need to have a little school and be out there learning to organize. All of us got to learn to organize. So my final words is organize, organize, organize.
Well, thank you, Brother Mukasa.
Long live Africa.
Long live Africa. I also want to ask you this, like, who's the most impressive person you ever met in your life? You met a lot of interesting people.
The lady who used to wash dishes when I was in elementary school, she used to wash dishes, and I didn't have no interest in what they were teaching in the classroom, so I would volunteer to go help wash dishes downstairs, and I'd go help. Back then you had to wash in big things in hot water. I washed those dishes, and she was a very nice lady, and I probably learned more humanity from her than probably anybody. She's a very great lady. A little maid or dishwasher in an elementary school.
Oh, well, I wonder if she knew what type of seed she planted in you.
No, she didn't. I thought about it years later. I didn't know the value of myself until I thought back. I said, what was my best experience in school? And I thought about her.
Well, speaking of that, I just want to make sure I give you something. I can't give you We All Be Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh.
It's my little small modest thing, it's my little award, but it's like, it's 2014 We All Be Artivist Lifetime Achievement Award presented to Brother Mukasa Dada for using his creative genius and exceptional dedicated service to the upliftment and the empowerment of humanity. This is yours.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
I had to come down here and give it to you.
Well, thank you, brother African. I can just say that I'm sure you're giving it to the wrong man.
No, I got the right man.
All the way you said on here, I'm sure it's the wrong man, but I'll take it and act like it's supposed to be for me, but I know it's for the people. Thank you, brother Africa. I have no idea you.
Yeah, I want to take a picture with you.
Oh, yes, sir.
With the...
Oh, with this?
Yes, sir.